Hello and welcome, fellow Indies. And I guess for those who don't know, I'm Patrick Poe, and this is my podcast, Indies on Indie. This episode, I sat down with a friend of mine who I hadn't seen for a while. We were good friends for my short stint at Pitt State, but honestly, I'm not very good at keeping in touch with people. I'm kind of just bad at having friends in general. And I know it. And I could probably be a better friend. A thing I could be better at is I don't send happy birthday messages. I could do that. I could engage more with people, but with the happy birthday thing, with Facebook nowadays, everyone knows when it's your birthday. Everyone knows when it's everyone's birthday. And I get the notifications. I see it's your birthday, but I know you're going to get 100 plus generic happy birthdays. Do you really need mine? Does mine really matter in the course of it all? I don't know. It's a thing that freaks me out. I've been thinking about it a lot lately. I've been seeing people's things on Facebook telling me it's their birthday. I think I should say happy birthday, but now it's a thing where if I say happy birthday to that guy, I didn't to this other guy. So when do I start saying it, or do I just say it to no one ever and become the rudest person ever? I don't know. It's kind of the same thing with this podcast, though. I get caught up about who I should message and what they're going to think. And that actually, that kind of happened to me with today's guest. Because I've been watching him on Facebook for years, working on his art and building his community and his work, his oeuvre of work. And I always worried, I bet he's got stuff going on. But I finally saw my chance, I guess, because he's currently running a Kickstarter to raise money for his newest project. And I thought, that's a perfect chance to talk to this guy. So maybe I could help him out, talk to him, sit down, it all works out. And it did. I talked to him, it was great. Today's artist is a comic book writer. He's put out 4 books so far, and he's currently raising money to put out his 5th. The newest book is called Cop No. 2, Volume 2. It's not a sequel, Cop No. 2. It's the character's title. You'll get it, just read the book. I had the pleasure of reading all of his books, most of his books, before talking to him. And as a comic book reader, I loved him. Really, I loved him. They've got superheroes in a really, original way. They've got humor. These books are right up my alley. Go give this guy money just because I want to read Cop No. 2, Volume 2. Please, just do it for me. He's raised almost $1,000 already, which puts him a third of the way to his goal. And you can read Cop No. 2, Volume 1 at indieplanet.us. You can get it digitally, or you can print it on demand. They'll ship it right to your house. Or if you just go donate to his Kickstarter, he'll ship you a Cop No. 2 if you donate the right amount. The link to that Kickstarter and all of those things, those are in the details of the podcast, as always. And now you can listen to me sit down and talk with the writer and creator of the comic books Magilicutty, Cop No. 2, and Committee of Heroes. He's also the founder of Egocentric Comics. Here is me and Sam Bruch.
So did you read the books?
I did. I like them, man. They're awesome.
You don't have to lie to me.
No, I do. I really like it. I thought it was really cool. I liked how they're books about side characters. I really liked that.
Oh no, he's on to me. He called me out.
It was an interesting perspective, though.
I totally have a formula. There we go.
I don't.
You can break down McGill.
If you want, there's headphones too.
None for Chuck.
No, I'm sorry. I only have the 2. I didn't know about Chuck. I'm sorry.
Again, that's on you.
I want to talk to the writer of Magilicutty and Cop No. 2, man.
Okay.
Not Chuck. Sorry, Chuck. I love you. Thanks. No, so you're saying you have a formula?
Yeah. Oh, are we?
Oh,
already?
yeah, we're on.
Oh,
this
and you'll
just
cut stuff? Or
I'll keep all that.
Oh, great.
That's all. That's the podcast, man.
I didn't even know we were ready. Okay. Well, yeah, there is a formula. You can, side by side, Cop No. 2 versus Magilicutty. You can see how it follows. I mean, you as a film writer, you also know that I just follow the basic, inciting incident. Status quo, inciting incident. And it's almost exactly the same book to book. But
there's differences, obviously. But yeah, I get what you're saying. You are following a act formula.
Right. I do that, and also like my status quo, like I set it up to where you think the big heroes and villains like are in the beginning, and then you never see those characters again.
Yeah, you're right.
I do it both times. Like
I don't think I noticed that. You're 100% right with that. Oh man, no, I liked where they're going though. I'm excited to. I want to read Cop 2 now and McGillicuddy 3. I want to know where like it goes.
Yeah, I mean, McGillicuddy 3 does exist.
Yeah, it's out.
Just in my house only. It's a trap.
So yeah, are they digitally available?
Yes.
I'm dumb. Like I texted you, I don't know how to read comic books on the internet.
Okay, Indie Planet, you just type in Indie Planet McGillicuddy, you'll find it, and issue 3 is there. But you have to purchase it, which I know is kind of not your thing. But.
No, I'm not against purchasing things. I was just... It wasn't that I wanted them for free. I'll give you those copies back. If you want them back, you can have them back.
No, man, they're your copies.
You can sell them to people.
No, you imply that I can sell them.
But so do they... this is like I know nothing about selling independent comics. I have no...
That makes 2 of us. But no, typically when I run the Kickstarter, that's like a pre-order, and most of the people that are actually interested in the book do it from there.
Yeah.
And they get their pre-order, and they help out, and they pay a ridiculous like upcharge on it because it's the Kickstarter price.
Do they get it early or?
Yeah, they get it early.
Okay, cool.
But at cons, like typically I go to cons and like I start with like hard prices and I'm like, I'm going to sell them. And then at the end of the con, I'm like, take this.
Just have my book, man.
Just read it, please.
That makes sense. Especially like with an issue 1s, just trying to like get them out there as much
right.
as possible.
And then issue 2s, like typically if you can get them hooked, they'll get all of them because that's just how cons work.
Comic book readers are...
obsessive. The ultimate plan is to put them all in one book. McGillicuddy would be a big chunk book, and then Cop number 2 would be a big chunk book because people, they don't want to buy the single issues anymore.
I still don't get that because that's like all I want. Like
so you can have a wall of.
I'm like addicted to. I've got 6 boxes of comics behind that wall.
Oh.
Actually, it's like I care about the singles. I don't like having the trades. I don't know why.
Yeah, and some people are like that. Some people aren't.
The trades feel like I'm like I don't know. I feel like I'm a poser. Like I'm the nerd poser.
Yeah, the guy shows up. It's like, oh, you don't have all 6 of them. You don't have the variant covers.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I feel when I like have the trades. I'm like, oh, I just wanted to read it really badly. But it's like, oh, you didn't go collect all 100 issues of Nightfall. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. It makes me feel less cool.
No, I get you. Like. Also, so I'm totally like an indie slut in the sense that I back a bunch of Kickstarters and do all that, and like I'll read the books and be like, this is garbage. It's still going on my wall because I support indie comics. Oh man, I am such.
You do have a big wall of indie comics.
Yeah,
which is cool.
I really try to help support them. However, I am such a snob. You have no idea. Like I'm reading it, I'm like. You're telling you're not showing. This is a visual medium. I mean, I fall victim to it too, especially McGillicuddy because that's when I was starting. Fun fact about McGillicuddy and Cop number 2, both of them were written in screenplay format.
Oh, really?
For a screenplay class.
At Pitt State?
Yeah, at Pitt State.
Cool.
Taught by Leo Hudson.
I didn't get that far. I dropped out pretty quick.
Oh, that's true. That's true. And look at you now.
Yeah, now you're in my basement.
2 copies of Harry Potter. And they said you wouldn't amount to anything.
Yep, that's exactly it. No, so why did you choose to make him comics then? What was the plan on that? Or the purpose?
Because since freshman year of college, I was telling people I was a comic book writer, and I didn't write a single comic book.
Nice. So, now you are.
Right, yeah, so now I am. But then, like, screenplay format is very similar to comic book format. I mean, and that's just what I do. And I work with every artist I've worked with. I'm like, hey, I use screenplay format. Is that okay? And they're like, yeah, it's still a visual medium. So.
Yeah. Like, are you gonna? Yeah. Forgive me for the screenplay format. Here's my book.
Yeah, and comic book format in general is just up to the writer.
Is it?
There's no standard. Like, I guess if I was writing for DC or Marvel, they might have a standard, but I even don't think they do there either, because a lot of people don't understand this, but DC and Marvel, they don't really have on-staff artists and writers. They're all contract, just like the indie people. They used to have on staff, but now with the internet being a thing and stuff,
You can write from anywhere. And,
yeah.
yeah. It's just about turning the deadlines.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you know, they're like, "Oh, this artist is pretty good. We'll pay him for it." You know, so he's not technically a DC artist. He's just a guy that did a job for DC.
Yeah. But, I mean, but he did art for DC. So
Right.
Yeah.
So he is a DC artist, but he's not like, he got that paycheck and then he didn't get another one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
So whenever I see writers like going like, I want to work for Marvel or whatever, I'm just like, well, you might work for a run. Like that is a goal
You might
of
do
mine.
a run of X-Men, but
Yeah.
you're not going to like always write for Marvel.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately that's a goal. Actually, I want to get on Dark Horse because they do hire people.
Really?
Yeah. So
And they do run more like independent and original works as
right,
well.
and they're like right next to your buddy Josh's house. Like literally, the Dark Horse thing is down the street. We walk there.
Really?
Their company, yeah, it's
That's
pretty
awesome.
sweet. Yeah.
So do you want to move then? Is that part of the plan or
Not really. I mean, I definitely want
once
to.
Dark Horse calls?
Oh
the
yeah,
plan is to go.
I'll go to Portland.
Yeah.
If Dark Horse was like, "Hey, we'll take you out there today," I'll be like, "Yeah." I've almost worked for Dark Horse twice.
Really?
Yeah, I've had interviews and talked to them and sent in my stuff and did the whole like submission.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but it never worked out.
What do you have to do for like to apply to work at Dark Horse?
Well, for like your typical comic submission, where like you'll turn it in with everything, and they'll either get back to you and be like, "Hey, we don't really need you right now. Cool thing, keep working." You know, a lot like you turning in a film. I
Yeah.
assume.
Well, I mean, see, I because I'm insane, and have no actual knowledge, I just do it all independently. I produce all of my stuff myself. So I film all my work. I write all my work. I'm very secluded. I have no actual knowledge of how the world works, and I just hope that someday it'll work.
Hey, that's the Kevin Smith route. That's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah. So I have no knowledge of actually like having to format my stuff well. Even like my screenplays are formatted terribly because they just need to be good enough that I can film it.
So, not the Kevin Smith method, the Quentin Tarantino method. Because if you ever read one of his scripts, man.
No.
Oh, man, they are full of, like, spelling errors. They're, like, everywhere. And his argument to that was, like, I'm the one that reads it. Like,
Yeah.
he's like, as long as the actors could read what they're supposed to say.
As long as they know what they need to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. The amount of description or lack of description in my scripts depends on how much I think of when I'm writing it. And like feel like is important on the page for me to read it again. But like it's not, or for like Lolo, because me and Lolo co-write and co-direct.
Yeah.
So like if I have a clear vision of like how a person walks down a hallway and interacts with somebody else, I have to like say that, because if she reads something, she might read it totally different. But I want her to see it the way I see it. I need
I
her
want the
to
world
see
to
it.
see it the way I see it.
Yeah.
No, and then you've got Joe DeSantos, my artist on Cop #2. He has been in like commercial art forever, and he just started doing comic books in the past like 4 years or so. But like he actually works with me a lot because he loves the story and everything like that, and it's like a big middle finger to a lot of other indie comic writers. As I mentioned earlier, I'm not a fan of other indie comic writers, but I'm a fan of like indie comics. I'm like, you guys
You
are
like the
great.
idea of releasing something independently.
Right, but the problem with indie comic creators, and more specifically superhero indie comic creators, where like I have characters like the American Way and stuff that are archetypes that that I use them
They're
as
kind
an
of a
archetype.
joke of an archetype.
Right, where
Yeah.
it's just like, oh, that's Superman, and I don't need to know any more about that character.
Yeah.
You know, but then there's these guys who put their heart and souls into them. They're like, this is my super original character, and it's literally just like Superman in blackface.
Yeah.
It's Black Superman.
Yeah.
Like, and then where you like, and you can't, they're very thin skinned. So like, if you're like, hey, literally, why would I read this when I can read Superman? Someone, by someone who wrote it way better. And also Superman has nearly a century of like
backstory and history.
Yeah. So like, why would I want to read your book? And then they get all offended and, that whole thing. But the thing is, that's actually where the name of my company comes from, Egocentric Comics, where it's literally a dig at all the people like, my character is the best. Where all mine are like a joke almost. But again, they're archetypes of themselves. And I try to make my superhero universe, like, it does have its serious, gritty, dark nature, but at the end of the day, you're in a world where people wear clown costumes and rob banks.
Yeah. And that's what I liked about it, is I felt like you could feel that it's making fun of kind of the superhero genre, but it had there's like an odd respect for it.
Right.
Like,
I mean, because I have obviously loved the superhero genre. Like, I grew up on it. I still, stay with it and everything. And I love comic books. And if you're doing indie comics, you honestly probably shouldn't do a superhero comic. You should do anything else. Yeah. Just because it's so saturated.
Yeah, because the superhero comic is what everyone already is reading. So like, when you find something that's not a superhero comic, that's like, it stands out more.
Right. Like Walking Dead, that's how it got so much of its pull.
Yeah.
But then you had a million zombie comics come out right after that.
Yeah.
So
it's about finding the one thing that's original, which is always like the same thing I'm doing. Is I'm like, oh, how can I make the original movie? They've all been told, they've all been done, but you just have to like do it your way, I guess. Tell your story.
Or do it someone else's way and hope that person doesn't find out. So
is that your plan?
100%.
So with Egocentric Comics, that's your company. Your like
company.
Yeah.
Like, I filed taxes on it.
Yeah. That's like my IX. We are IX Productions.
Did you do taxes on IX?
Yeah.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah.
You pay your actors?
No, I don't. I do not pay my actors.
So no I-9 forms for them?
Not for them. Nope. Because I can't. I don't have the money to pay them. I've told them on our Project Go, Midsummer Night's Dream. I was like, guys, I can.
Oh, that one's already been written.
I know. It's also already been made into a movie, but not the way I did it, Sam. I did it different. But on that, I was like, with the budget, guys, I could either give you each like $8.50, or I can feed you every day we're on set. And they're like, I'd rather have food. It's like, good choice.
Because I make far more money that way. Thanks, guys.
No, I make no money doing any of this.
I assume, you're going to put spinning rims on your golden jet ski. And
hell yeah. Yeah. I mean, you've seen my beautiful house. It's just full of extravagance.
I mean, there is a lot of money. 2
copies of Harry Potter.
Yeah, there's a lot of money on these walls. I'm just saying.
Yeah, just taped to the wall. Just money. Just taped to the walls.
We walked in and he was taking a golden shower, but not like what you think. It's the shower. It was more of a Scrooge McDuck and less of an R. Kelly.
Yeah, I was just pouring gold all over my body. Just little gold coins, though.
I mean, that's the only reason I decided to come on this podcast, because it was so prestigious.
Yeah.
So.
Oh man! But so the first two, McGillicuddy 1 and 2, are both have the Egocentric Comics logo on them, but Cop number 2 has a different logo. Like, what's?
So here's.
I want to know what's up with that.
Okay, so I got signed to a comic company, from the South, called Advent Comics, and it was a black comic book company, but the main guy of it was actually a firefighter from 9/11, from Ground Zero. And he's like, send me your script, even though you're a little white boy, like one of those things. So like we worked out a contract. He got me on Comixology. He got me on his website, helped me promote and everything like that. But then he kind of stopped talking to me when money got involved. So I'm switching Cop number 2.
Will be
back.
Egocentric.
Yeah,
Okay.
But what I loved about that was the back page of Cop number 2 is the Advent Comics thing. And it's like putting the soul back into comics. And on their website, it was literally just black creators, me, black creators.
What's funny is that I didn't even read that as like a black thing, like putting the soul back in comics. I was like, oh, that's just like a dig. I thought it was just like a dig at like comic books and the fact that they're like have no meaning or anything underneath them.
Look at the covers on the rest of them, and you will quickly see that I am out of place. I really wanted to go to a convention, because they do like a group panel of all the creators.
Yeah.
I just want to be like, hey guys, howdy.
But so did it help you think, or?
No, I don't think it helped at all. I think it hindered quite a bit. Like, they just... I sent him an email because he wasn't responding to me, and I was just like, hey, I'm going off on my own. Like, I don't know how many comics I sold with you. Enjoy that money, I guess.
Enjoy that.
Well, they got me in Barnes & Noble and stuff.
That's awesome.
On the East Coast only.
Okay.
But still.
Yeah, but still, like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, but then, like, I'm like, I'll just do it on my own.
Yeah.
So, and Joe, my artist, was like, yeah, we need to just do it on our own.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, yeah, obviously you're doing it on your own. You're now running a Kickstarter for the next issue. What does that like?
Volume. We call them volumes because they're 48 pages. An issue is a standard 24 page.
Wonderful. I apologize.
No, it's fine. You just offended me. That's okay.
That's what I do is I bring creators down here and I belittle their work, actually. That's the podcast.
Well, I assume that's why I'm also putting lotion on my skin. I walked in the door and he was like, hey, take this lotion and just rub it all over your body.
Oh, God. My listeners are going to be like, what is Santa?
Who is this guy?
Who is this guy?
Patrick's pulling homeless people off the street again and tell them to be creators.
Pretend you create art. Just talk to me.
I shit my hand.
Good enough. Come on in.
The sculptor. Crazy-eyed Joe is here with me today.
But no, I did like reading both McGillicuddy and Cop Number 2 that they're in this they're in the same universe.
Yeah,
obviously.
they are. Cop Number 2 is technically the sequel, but not a direct sequel.
Oh, okay. So is McGillicuddy 3 like the end of that storyline?
No, McGillicuddy 3 gets right up to where we'd be at the climax, right up to the action, because all McGillicuddy 1 and 2 is a lot of, talking.
It's most of the Act 1.
Yeah, stuff like that. But then once I get to the interesting part, I just kind of stopped. So I really need money to pay that artist to finish. Because a lot of people do make comments on my first artist to where he was not the best. However, I was a college kid paying him with loan money, and he did $30 a page, and I thought he did decent work for what I was giving him.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So yeah, people talk trash on the artist, but I'm like, it's better than your comic book that's not out,
That's true. Making something is better than not.
Right. Having something tangible is phenomenal.
So is that where most of the cost, obviously, for each of them goes?
It's the artist.
Is into the artist.
100%.
Because you pretty much make no money doing this, I'm guessing.
Oh, I am so negative. Actually, you do have an idea.
Yes.
You have a very good idea.
I have a great idea of how negative you can be.
I think you still listen to CDs. I see a whole case back there.
I do still. I just got a bunch of vinyl. I'm like, new music. This is incredible.
Oh, no. Vinyl rich people listen to that now.
These are just boxes of my dad's old vinyl.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah. It was just given to me. No, but so there will be a fourth McGillicuddy. Is that the...
I'm focusing on
hope?
Cop Number 2 right now.
Yeah.
I want to finish that because it's Cop Number 2 is my world builder. If McGillicuddy was more focused on being like a standalone story, and I didn't intend on going further. But then Cop Number 2, it's my world builder in the sense that I'm mentioning all these characters, some of which I've never even designed in my head. I just name dropped. I have an extensive plan for my universe.
It's okay. It's okay. I don't think J.J. Abrams had a plan when he made Force Awakens. I think there was no plan for the extended universe. He just created characters.
He was like, my plan is to cash the check.
Yeah. Yeah, so don't worry about your plan.
And that's kind of my issue too, because with the world building and all the characters and all the fun backstories that I want to do, my problem is I want to not write superhero comics anymore. Even though I don't really write superhero comics, I write pieces that are like, there's a term I'm looking for, but like, I don't know, some fancy college word that
I don't have a fancy
went
word
away.
for it. Sorry.
That's fair. But you know, I tried to make a specific like concept. It was a concept piece.
Got it.
And that's what they are. They're not superhero comics, and that's where I feel like I differ from the other indie superhero creators, where like, yeah, my big boys that play like American Way, they're just background characters.
Yeah, like they're mentioned, but you never see them really.
Right. So that's, and also I've always loved the B-lister anyways. Like, I've loved the character. That's why I like DC more than I like Marvel. Not that Marvel doesn't have their list of B-listers, but DC I feel just has more. And they always had more of a, you know, humor to it. And at the end of
like
the day,
Booster Gold,
yeah,
or Blue Beetle,
or Justice League International in general.
Yeah,
that's a big inspiration for my universe.
That makes sense. I can feel that. So when you wrote McGillicuddy's 1 and 2, they've got the little complex hero kid at the end. Did you plan for that to be something that came in Cop number 2, or?
So Hero
you
Complex...
want to say yes. You really want to say yes.
But it's not.
But it's not.
Hero Complex Kid was written as a coping mechanism after my bad breakup in which I got stabbed by Fat Bitch.
Jesus.
You actually have context to this story a little bit.
I mean, I think I met her, didn't I?
You were one of the, like, you probably don't remember much from that time, but you were a key player in that.
Interesting.
You're
well,
like,
what did I do in this? Hold on.
You let me sleep in your room.
I knew that. Yeah.
And like you were the gossip of the floor, so you knew everybody and anybody.
I did. I was the gossip of the floor. That is true.
So like, you know, you're like, stay away from that one. I'm like, whatever. I'm getting somebody has my wiener in their mouth. I don't care. Your judgment really gets clouded when that happens.
Yeah, I understand that. I forgive you.
You're sitting here like, my judgment's clouded right now. Chuck's over here. So. But no, so like I went through that, and I went through a very bad depression. I lost a crap ton of weight. Like it wasn't. You
look great though.
That's true. I need to bottle depression, man. And just inject it when I'm like, I'm getting a little tubby. I don't need to eat anymore. But no, so like I was going through that, and I'm like, look, because we were going to write a comic book together because she was an artist and I was a writer. And then I'm like, fuck it. I'm going to do it on my own. I don't need her. So I like wrote literally our story, but just changed it. So that's the beginning of Complex Hero Kid. Yeah. And like, that was also my handle on like, Microsoft and all that. Like that was my gamer tag. It still is my gamer tag, Hero Complex Kid. But so like, I write that in like a fever, like just see red. I'm at Wes's house just typing away, and Wes is like, this is all right, which is great because Wes has zero taste. And like he likes everything. Like he could watch.
That's a good friend to have.
Oh, he watches the shittiest movies, and he's like, I thought it was all right, and like objectively.
So Wes, if you're listening to this, come see my movie. It's in Cinemark.
No, that's why I have him read all my stuff. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm just like, you read this, and I have friends that are more critical, but I'm like, you read this, and then he's like, I love it. And Cop number 2 was heavily based off his, like, that's how I got all the lingo of police officers and firefighters, because he's an EMT and a firefighter.
Okay.
And like we went to a bar one night, and I just sat there with a pen and paper, and I'm like, what do firefighters call police officers? And, you know, like they call them bluebirds and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, like, what are some jokes that you guys tell to each other? So that's why it feels so natural in the conversation in the poker game.
Okay. That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
But so Complex Hero Kid.
Oh, yeah.
Hero Complex Kid was just your venting, pretty much.
Yeah. And then I gave that to a buddy's brother who did a lot of art. And he's like, yeah, I love this character because... He's like,
it's relatable.
He just loved the design of him, where like I wanted just a kid with a pipe, like
yeah.
And so I created that and then kind of went on with that, and that didn't go past 10 pages. So, but
Yeah.
all 10 pages still exist. But I was putting it in as a serial in McGillicuddy because, I had that work that I didn't want wasted. So I'm like, yeah, I'll just throw
It's
it in there.
cool. And I like having that little serial at the end.
Yeah, so it's like a nice little like origin story that's not all there. Like you have to read McGillicuddy. So then this character returns later, because I was actually trying to avoid using him in McGillicuddy at all, because I'm like, I want this to be separate. But then when I needed to buff out my universe, I was like,
Cop.
yeah, I was like, I'll use him, because I also wanted someone arrogant. Like I wanted a kid without powers, because I wanted it to really sink in that the police officers are pissed that they pretty much work for these people.
And there's like, yeah, they feel worthless.
Right. And you have literally a kid with a pipe who is technically your boss, and you're a police officer.
Yeah. I liked it. It was a good relationship.
Yeah. And like, as you're going to get from flashbacks and stuff, he was actually originally made to like be a honorary police officer, and he was like trained with these officers to like be an honorary officer, so he'd have a badge and be able to do this before superheroes really existed. So I also thought that was an interesting take on it, to where it's like we have this build up.
I also really like, that's something I liked about your world, is that like these superheroes have some sort of like government sanction of sorts, and like there are like classes to like the superheroes and the villains, and like I don't know, it's just like it felt like a sensical world where there are a bunch of superheroes, and I liked that.
Yeah, that's actually on the few reviews that I got on my books, where they're like, it feels like the real world. They're talking about ridiculous stuff like Tentakill and Little Canada, but like, ultimately these are real issues, real feelings.
Yeah.
And that's what I really want, is I want that balance. And of course I love things like The Tick and Venture Brothers, especially Venture Brothers. That's probably where I draw a lot now.
A lot of inspiration from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, at the end of the day, like, it's a comedy show. However, they have like these super emotional moments in Venture Brothers. I don't know if you watch it.
I've never watched it. It's a show that I've always been told, like, you've got to watch it. And I'm like,
Season 1 is rough. Episode 1 is rough. But if you can get through it, then you're like, holy crap, this universe is gigantic.
okay.
Like, I highly suggest it.
It's worth getting into.
Yeah, it's very similar to mine, where the characters are parodies of other things. That said, one of my favorite characters is actually Johnny Quest. They like got the rights because Cartoon Network
They have
has the
Johnny
right.
Quest in it.
They call him Action Johnny, but eventually they tell you that it is Johnny Quest, and he has PTSD from all the adventures that his dad made him go on.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and that's the stuff that I want. Like, that's what I want my universe to be, is, well, just a rip off of the Venture Brothers.
So you're a ripoff of a show that's a ripoff of other shows?
Steal like an artist, Patrick. That's from one of those fancy books that you wouldn't have known, because I finished my 4-year degree. It got me nowhere.
Did you get your degree in communications, or what did you...
No, I got my degree in something worth something, justice studies.
Oh, okay.
No,
so you
it
actually
was not.
finished the degree that you were going to when I was at school with you.
I changed in the middle to creative writing, then I turned that into a minor. One thing that you might find cool, I was the first film minor out of Pittsburgh.
Oh, nice.
Because they put that program in, and I was already half done with it because of all the courses I just happened to take. And I'm like, yeah, I'll do that.
I'll just finish that.
Yeah, and I was the first film minor out of Pitt State. I'm
Nice.
Like, yeah.
So are you going to make a film?
I have.
How to work a camera.
No, I wanted to try to make you do it.
I mean, if you had a good script, I definitely probably would.
So, like, I have an idea for a script for you specifically, but I just have to write it.
Isn't that the worst part?
Yeah.
Don't you just hate writing?
I've got the outline done. I've got everything. I even got a crappy cameo of you in it. It's great.
You're like, I'll put Patrick in it, then he'll love
Yeah,
it.
he'll definitely want it, because
stroke his ego.
I mean, he stars in all his films. I mean, my only issue is like, I want to put you as a cameo, so that might be the problem where you're like, actually,
I want to be the star.
right.
You're probably right. I would want that. No.
But yeah, no, so that was what I was getting on earlier, where like, I want to do other things. There is a free Committee of Heroes webcomic. I forgot to tell you about that. I'll send you the
cool.
link. That gives you more of the origins of the team, because like, I sat down and I'm like, I've never written a superhero comic. So I wanted to write more a traditional superhero comic, and that's what that was. But what
Did you enjoy it?
I mean, it was...
You didn't.
It was so easy. Like, but so I want to start writing like little serial type things instead of like these big stories. Once I finish McGillicuddy and finish Cop #2, my plan is to write like just like one-offs. So I have this idea of a villain named Dick Pick, and he's Irony's like main villain, and like he'll go to public places and like set up he'll set up like those things like win a free gaming device, put in your information, your number and address, and he'll send dick pics to everybody who put their stuff in that box.
That's awesome.
And yeah, so then like HCK or Agent Danger, he puts his information in there with the Committee of Heroes like email, like and just dick pics start popping up on the computer, and like, you know, and it's like one of those big Justice League like mega computers, it's just like poof.
Just giant dick.
Yeah,
Nice.
so, and then Irony of course gets pissed, is like, kids are getting these, and you know, and then like I have this whole plan to where like they catch him and they like have the character nostalgia, and she has the power to, if you're in the same room as her, you have like good thoughts. If she touches you, she can trap you in those thoughts. But then like I'm gonna have her discover a new power in this where she can like get you to like see your past and things like that. And they're like, we're gonna cure this guy, we're gonna cure Dick Pick, we're going to have him like see his past and see why. And then they see that like his father abused him or something, and then they're like, this is why you're the way you are. And he goes, I know. so like I want to do stories like that, because he was like a psychology professor or something. He's like, I know damn well why I send my dick to everybody.
I'm still gonna do it though.
Yeah, like you can't change me. So yeah, that's like, I want to do more of those. But back on my original thought is, the problem with the superhero comics that I keep having all these ideas that I keep wanting to do, but that means I can't do anything else. Like I have the idea for the screenplay I want to write but then I feel guilty because I'm like, I have all these other ideas that I need to do for my Committee of Heroes, because I already have kind of a fan base built on that. And then like I have an awareness comic that I really want to do, because I wanted to do a zombie comic called HIV, which is humans infected with virus. And it will literally be a world in which they tried to create a cure for HIV. However, it created zombies, but every person with HIV is immune to it. So then like you have this world full of zombies and these people with a very treatable disease now, but you have no one running the companies or anything making the meds. So then like, it would also break the stigmas, because I would have characters from all walks of life, because people still have stigmas of HIV and things like that. So, and also humans infected with virus, like fucking perfect.
Great title.
Yeah.
Like, no, that's great.
Yeah. And like, I want to write that book, but I
But
can't.
You feel bad about like letting down the like City of Heroes fan base.
Letting the 3 people down that read my book.
I understand though, because like I struggle with like trying to keep dates, like release dates that I build in my own head. Like,
oh, when you're working with other people, you can throw those deadlines out. Like, yeah, when you're working with artists, they work on their own schedule. Yeah, they work faster when you feed them money. A lot of people work faster when you feed them money. Yeah,
that's how the world kind of works. It all works faster with money.
Right.
And that's why my work is so slow. But no, like I'll set deadlines for like this podcast or for like our comedy show Laugh KC, and I'll be like, no, we've got to get one out this Thursday because I said I would in my head to nobody. And I'll like stress out about it and be like, oh, I guess it doesn't matter. Like no one's going to text me like, hey, where's the new video? I can just put it
I
out 2
need
days
that
later.
though. I need someone giving me a deadline because that's how like McGillicuddy and Cop number 2 actually got finished. Now I have a bunch of other projects started. Like if you go into my Celtics, you'll see like 6 different projects, but I don't have a deadline.
Yeah.
And that's my issue. And like I'm not getting a grade on it. Like the only reason that I'd be doing it is because I want to do it, and I do want to do it. But then I have 3 more ideas that I'd rather do because, like, I have my manga I want to do, my magical girl manga called Super Bubblegum Moon Detectives. So, like,
So you've got a plethora of ideas.
right,
It's now just about like figuring out how to
yeah,
concentrate yourself.
and do it. But
get
then
it
I'm
done.
also working, like
A real job.
Yeah, a big boy job.
Yeah.
And I'm not a fan of it, like the day job thing. But I also don't think I could just do art. Like,
Yeah.
I think I'd get so bored.
Really?
Yeah. Because again, nobody's giving me deadlines. Like, if I worked for, say, Marvel, or if you, like, had a paycheck for me and you're like,
Yeah.
Sam, I want you to write me a script, that script would get done. That script would get done quickly.
Yeah.
However, nobody's offering writers anything.
Yeah. No one's
like-
offering you a big paycheck.
Right.
So like if you just did art, you would just starve.
Yeah, because I would literally just lay in my house and be like, unless somebody commissioned me for something. But again, I'm a writer, so nobody commissions writers because everyone thinks they can do it.
Everyone thinks they're the writer.
Right.
Yeah.
But like, I hate to be this guy. I love to be this guy. I'm trained. Like, I understand how a story is supposed to work. I'm not saying that you have to go to school to figure it out. However, I think that helps.
Yeah.
So anybody can be a writer, but that's like saying anybody can draw. Because I can pick this pencil up and draw for you right now. And if I did it for 10 hours a day for the rest of my life, I'd be pretty damn good at it.
Yeah.
But I'm not doing that. Therefore, I mean, I could be the guy that's like, I could draw that if I wanted to.
But like, yeah, it would obviously take work and practice. And
Right. And I have a little...
You're going to learn somehow.
Right.
You've got to learn somehow. You learned at school, which means you do have some sort of base of learning.
Right.
Yeah.
Where, I feel like a storyteller now. And also, like, I'm a professional liar. Like, that's what I have to tell people, because I do panels at anime conventions and stuff, Comic Book Writing 101, and like also like breaking into self-publishing and things like that,
Yeah.
and crowdfunding. And I always get like 300 people. You have no idea how much of a rush it is to have all these people. And then when I'm done with the panel, they all come up and then
ask
they
you their
never
questions.
then they never add my Facebook group or anything, and I never see them again. But they're all excited then.
Yeah.
But like, oh, it's so good. Also, I give away free shit there too.
So how many conventions have you done?
This year will be my 6th one at Tokyo and Tulsa. I did NakaCon once. And these are just me doing panels. Now, I've done Free State Comic Con where I sat at the table and tried to sell my stuff. And I've done, there was another one.
You did Kansas City Comic Con.
Yeah,
right?
I did Kansas City Comic Con. And I wanted to do Planet, but I didn't have the money to pay the fee at the time.
Yeah. How do those go over? And like, do you see a benefit in going and sitting at those, or?
So Kansas City Comic Con probably wasn't great, but it's a dying convention anyways.
Is it?
Yeah, like it's apparently had its heyday 2 years ago and it's just been getting bad ever since. But also with original content, it's hard to get anybody to give a
Stop
shit.
at your table.
Yeah. And then like I swear the people next to me probably wanted to kill me because like I gave the same spiel all day long. And like every time I gave it, I saw the creator next to me like roll his eyes. I'm like, you want to fucking fight? You want to throw down?
At least I'm trying, man.
And I'm like, you sell your Steven Universe pins. Try to be creative for once. And he's like, they're making sales. I'm like, son of a bitch.
So like he was selling like art based on
Yeah,
his art,
right.
Where yours is like
And
original.
that's what sells at those conventions.
Yeah, 100%.
Now, Free State Comic Con, however, is more an indie-based creator thing. And also it's a garage sale because, it's all those guys like, I've got a bunch of shit. I'm going to sell my shit.
Yeah.
And so I love that one. I sold nearly every book I had, and I just had McGillicuddy then, which I feel is the inferior book to Cop number 2. So, like, I feel like If I had Cop number 2, then I would have sold out as well. And, you know, and that's a problem. Like, I have prints of my characters, but nobody gives two shit. Nobody wants to put the picture. Now, people want irony because I want to jerk off, but dude, you have no idea how, so I created that character because I thought it was a cool character where it's like, oh, it's ironic that I go and beat up other teen heroes and take their gear. And that is her story. That is, that's actually in the Committee of Heroes webcomic that I'll send you the link to.
Sweet. We'll definitely read it because I like your universe. I'm sold. You sold me.
Woo! One guy who doesn't have money. Yes.
Yep.
You're paying me an exposure. Holy shit, you literally bought my comic books in exposure. I feel dirty. Like everything I taught my people, like, because whenever I do my panels, I'm like, pay your artist money. You have to pay them money. They can't eat exposure. But then I just turn around and sell my shit.
It happens.
Yeah,
it happens.
It's fine.
But so with McGillicuddy being your first book, is it in black and white because that's how you envisioned it, or is it in black and white
because it was cheaper?
It was cheaper.
Yep.
100% because it was cheaper?
Yeah. Although I don't think it would work as well in color.
Really?
With that artist.
Interesting.
His color stuff, like he did the covers, it just looks kind of shitty. But his black and white stuff actually looks fairly okay.
Okay.
So
it was somewhat of a stylistic choice.
Yeah, it was a happy accident.
Happy accident. But so you think if you had a different artist, you would have done it in color?
I've considered like being a douchebag and like hiring a different artist and just redoing McGillicuddy, but that's a real douche move, especially because I didn't finish it.
Yeah.
And I felt kind of douchey going on with Cop number 2 before I finished McGillicuddy, but still, it's what I wanted to do.
It's what you wanted to do, and like it seems more sellable.
100%.
Which is part of what you have to focus on.
Right. And it is more sellable. However, people still... That's the thing, is people still want the same character over and over. They want Thor again with a different skin.
Yeah.
They say that they want something different, but at the end of the day, they just want the same shit. But that's the same thing with movies.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I get so frustrated. Sometimes I'll go to the movie and be like, we've seen this movie. Like, I'm trying to make something original in my basement, but nobody
Pacific Rim
cares.
was tight, though.
I haven't seen it yet.
No,
well, the two. I haven't seen Pacific Rim 2 yet.
Yeah, 1 was great. I loved 1.
I
like kaiju a lot. So, but no, like, that's the thing, is there's 3 movies. There's 3 stories. There's been 3 stories since the beginning of fucking time. Like,
yes.
And we've got to understand that, but it's like taking those aspects from those stories and doing
making
something
your
different.
own.
Yeah.
And
Putting
your spin on it.
Everyone's heard this. This has been on a podcast a million fucking times. This is one of the 3 podcasts.
Exactly. Yeah. There's only so much you can do with a podcast.
Right.
I'm going to jump back to Comic-Cons.
Okay.
Because you were saying that you don't get like a lot of sales from them.
No.
But like, do you get anything from the panels, or is it mostly... Is it egocentric?
Yeah, so I'm not allowed to sell at those, but I totally sell at those.
Well, yeah, you have to.
Right, like they'll
Don't
come up and like there's always one old guy that I assume just wants to have sex with me. But I'm always like, because I'm giving free comics away at the end of my thing.
Yeah.
And like I give him one, he's like, and it's always a different old guy, but it's the same old guy.
Yeah. It's the archetype of that old guy.
Yeah, and he's just like, no, I want you to have this money. And I'm like looking around, looking for like the volunteers that I know don't give 2 shits.
You're looking for the guys who be like, you took money, you'll never be accepted again.
Right.
They're going to put my face everywhere that says, Sam Bruch takes money for his comics.
Yeah.
And we'll never accept you.
No, it's Sam Bruch takes money for his comics and he didn't pay $150 for a table here.
Okay. That makes sense.
And like, I get it, but then these people are like, we want to buy your book. And I'm like, want to be like, well, go to the website. But the thing is these are people with cash in hand.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, meet me out in the hallway. And it's like the shadiest fucking thing ever. But no, I make a few sales, but, and I have all my information in the front of my books. And I've gotten a few likes and stuff from that. And
is there a way to buy your books online? The physical copies or just the...
Indie Planet, you can get digital and you can get physical.
Oh, okay.
Because it's order on demand. So you order it and they make it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
It is so easy to be a comic book creator right now.
Yeah?
That's why there's so many of us.
Because of like Indie on Demand?
Yeah.
Or...
Yeah. There's like, you can get your stuff printed. You know, you don't have to go to a printer anymore. Like, you don't have, and you send the file over. You don't have to like send the big envelope of all your pages.
But so you're now doing Cop Volume 2 is like the next step, right?
Yes.
Is your
Cop number 2 is not a sequel, but this is a sequel to
yeah,
Cop
number 2, Volume 2.
Right.
You're crowdfunding for it right now. It's going pretty well.
I made $1,000 in the first day, 24 hours,
which is awesome.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And then it hasn't really.
Then someone pulled out, so now I'm under 1,000 again, and then no one's touched it for 14 days.
So it's been stagnant.
Yeah, and that's sucks.
Rough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's really no like how the Facebook algorithm works now, because like when I wish I was doing this project 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Because Facebook has shot creators in the foot unless you pay money.
Yes, 100%.
So like if I did this 4 years ago, all my friends would be seeing it. I wouldn't have to put the link in the comments because I have to do that now because otherwise
nobody sees it.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, you're promoting this. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Unless you pay us money. No, we have people that are willing to pay far more money to put an ad than you just doing it for free.
Doing it to your friends.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
And then they block it from your friends unless you pay money.
Yeah. It is much harder as a creator today.
Right. Like than 5 years ago.
Yes.
And I don't know why they did that. Like,
because they
well, I know
money.
why they did that.
Yeah, they're trying to make money. They're the only internet nowadays. The internet has completely narrowed to Facebook for most people.
Right. And like it used to be an amazing tool for creators, and it's still a great networking tool. It's no longer
a great promotional tool.
No.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you struggle with the same thing. So then I have to look into other places, but there's really nowhere else.
There's no other internet. But so you're struggling right now with trying to figure out how to market
and
the Kickstarter itself.
Right. And like Instagram is a really good tool. However, you can't post your link in Instagram.
Yes. That is the problem with Instagram.
You put it on your bio and you're like, check my bio. And it's the same thing as check the comments. So,
which is just as hard though, because like people don't like clicking through.
No, people literally are going to go like, and and that's great to get your stuff out there. Like I've done a lot of my art stuff, and then I kind of grew stagnant because then like when I first started, I had like 20 to 30 likes on every picture, and I'm like, this is great. And then I started putting stuff, and then it was like 1 or 2, and then I'm like, why am I even doing this? But that's just the artist thing. The thing is we are in both the best and the worst time to be an artist.
Yes, I totally agree with that.
Because we have all these resources. I can print my comics on demand. I can reach out to, like, my artist is in West Virginia. Like, everyone is connected. It's amazing. But from that, everyone thinks they're a creative soul. And, I'm definitely not the best person out there. However, when everyone is trying to sell their own thing, they're not going to buy yours.
Yep. Yeah, because they don't have the money to, because they're spending all their money trying to create their own thing.
That no one will look at.
Exactly. And that's why I couldn't buy your comic.
Oh, it hurts so much when I'm at the tax office and they're just like, so this is a hobby? I'm like...
You're like, kinda.
Yeah. They're like, do you make money on it? I'm like, technically. Well, and like I had to pay taxes on my $2,000 I made last year on the Kickstarter, but I couldn't.
Oh, that kicked my ass this year. We did a really good crowdfunding campaign for our last film, The Way It Goes, which we're currently in production for. We're filming it right now.
I get the emails on Spark and Seed.
Spark. Nice. I appreciate that.
Yeah. I don't read them, but no, I actually do.
That's fine. I don't care if you read them or not. I'm happy that you signed up. I got free shit from that, so that was awesome.
Oh, can I take that back?
But like, so we did a good campaign, but then like taxes on that campaign were insane. It was insane.
Yeah. And then another problem as a creator is your friends will only take you so far. Cause like, where like you were a pretty good friend in college. However, like, I haven't talked to you. I slept on your floor. Like, I haven't talked to you. So you get my project and you're like, oh, this is cool. Sam did something neat. That's fine. But Chuck over here is like, I've heard this shit for 3 years. I don't like they support you, but
Yeah.
they're like not gonna look at your stuff, like because they're tired of it. Because
Yeah.
you're trying to be, especially on Facebook and stuff. Where
Yeah.
like so day one that I posted my Kickstarter, I had like 30 likes. Like Sam's doing something. Day two, like 2 people.
Day
like,
2, they were like, Sam, we heard you posted
yeah.
yesterday.
We're not giving you money now. We're not giving you money then. And I call it internet panhandling.
I love that phrase, and I've seen it like a couple times on like your Facebook, and every time I see it, it makes me giggle because that's exactly how I feel when I do it too.
Yeah. No, there is this amazing Freakazoid clip from when Freakazoid
From
was
when
a thing.
Freakazoid was a
yeah,
show?
yeah. And like I feel like I have to date everything to be like I'm educated and I've give dates in 1998 on September 3rd. This clip came out. It was actually the first episode of Freakazoid. But anyways, they're on like Hollywood Boulevard and there's like this old hippie dude.
Is that so? Like, does that knowing it's the first episode of Freakazoid, is that the most important thing though? Like, is that what makes you intelligent, Sam? Like, I can tell you that the first episode of Freakazoid is where the clip's from. Like,
yeah, that's what makes me jerk off harder than you. The fact that I can be like, actually, in episode 1 was when this came out. This clip of this old hippie dude, and he's got his guitar, and he's just like, hey man, oh man, hey man, oh man, I hate you all, give me money. And everybody just throws money at him. And I'm like, this is what I feel like every time I do a Kickstarter. And then, like, it kind of hurts me when my art teacher, Mr. Summers, who, like, he helped me get through a lot of stuff. And then, like, he's like, you shouldn't do a Kickstarter anymore. That's kind of over.
that's kind of over.
And he said for me, because, like, all the people that's given you money before, they've already filled that quota. And I'm like, you're kind of right.
Yeah.
And that sucks. And, like, unless overnight, for some reason, you get huge, which there's no way to control that. Well, ultimately, it's who you know most of the time.
Yeah.
But like, it
There are
sucks
only
being
so many
creative.
Kickstarters you can do.
Right.
Yes.
And like, I want to, and like, there's no way I can do this whole project without money from somewhere else. I could take it out a loan,
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, I already have enough of those.
Yeah. And what's one more?
Yeah,
Like,
that's fair.
just
Like,
add
I'm
another
already
one.
going to die in debt. You've got a good point, Patrick. I'm going to go take out a loan tomorrow and be like, Joe, here's all the money in full.
There we go. We solved the problem of the Kickstarter.
Right. And I never
did
have to do it again.
No, yeah, I feel the same way because, like, we've done a couple Indiegogo, Kickstarter, Seed and Spark, whatever's, online crowdfunding. We've done a couple, but, like, after the way it goes one, that's it. Like, there's no way I'm doing another crowdfunding like that ever again. Like, it's just not going to happen.
And the other thing is like movies and comic books especially, like you would think that with Infinity War and all these things, like you would think that the industry would be booming. It's not. Like the Marvel and DC are dying. Well, Marvel's not because they got their big money,
They've got the money
movies.
machine of the movies.
But their actual comics are dying.
Yeah.
And nobody's buying them because lots of people use online. Lots of people just don't read comics. Lots of people don't read anymore.
Yeah.
Even when there's pictures.
Even when there's pictures.
It's an ice cream truck.
Is that really? For reals? Yeah. Oh, man, we should stop this interview and just go do that.
Yeah, I mean, whenever you want to stop this, but I could talk all day, man. I got a lot of shit.
But that's what this is.
And Chuck's just in here like, I hear this all the time.
Chuck is done with all of Sam's shit.
It's like, I'm going to go look through your shitty books, Patrick.
So now the Kickstarter happens. Hopefully you do Cop number 2, volume 2. No matter, is it happening no matter what? Is that a thing I can ask?
I mean,
You'll figure out a way.
Yeah, I'll post the Kickstarter again with a lower goal.
Okay. That makes sense.
But I won't. Yeah, I won't tell anybody that.
Yeah.
It's cool. Nobody's listening to this anyways. And if they've gotten this far, holy crap, good on you.
You really like Sam.
We are going to throw you a parade.
Just email Sam. You'll figure it out.
So it's really strange to me that, like, I've tried to do a podcast before and, like, with a group of people and stuff like that. And there I was completely different. Like, granted, we're talking about me this time. So like, that's probably the change. That's probably the difference where it's like, oh, Sam Bruch, I could tell you a few things about him. But yeah, so I find it strange that I'm actually so comfortable in this podcast, but
Good. That's
Yeah.
what I want. That's the
it's
goal.
probably he offered me a glass of water when I walked in, and then now I'm all loosey goosey. So
Yeah,
little LSD,
that's all it is. It's just all the LSD that I slipped you.
cool. But no. So any other questions on Cop number 2, McGillicuddy?
What happens after Cop number 2? Do you have a plan for that, or is it because like now you've kind of said the Kickstarter thing? This is the Kickstarter, right?
Right. Like,
What do you do after this one then? Do you not know?
I planned on doing a 3, so because
Yeah.
it's in 3 parts. So I feel like I need to do that last book, and also I'm offering Kickstarter rewards for stuff in the last book, so I should probably finish it out. But like, so I'm gonna finish out Cop number 2. Me and Joe are, we're very adamant about finishing that. Then I think I want to pick up and finish McGillicuddy out.
Which
and-
is that just one more book or?
Yeah, and that's literally just throwing money at it.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing with both these projects. Like, I wrote the
You've
entire
written all of it.
screenplay. Yeah, and and people are like, I think you should change your writing to this. I'm like, buddy, I haven't had that script in 6 years. like, kudos, thank you. I love feedback. I'll write it. I'll work it into my next book. But the rest of this is done.
You wouldn't even think about looking at them again, looking at the scripts again.
I have to rewrite the final battle scene in Cop number 2 because me and my brother created 2 characters to be a representation of stereotypes from the Hanna-Barbera cartoons. You had like the Black Falcon, you had like Apache Chief, you know, like they were trying to be inclusive, but from that they were creating stereotypes.
Yeah.
So, and the Wonder Twins were Hanna-Barbera. So we created our own Wonder Twins called Mikasa and Tsukasa. And they were a Mexican brother and sister who one could turn into structures like housing and like brick walls and stuff. And the other could like shoot electricity and gas and utilities and water. So it was a house, like they could build a house, and their big move was the House of Pain, where like they put somebody into a house and then the utilities started to attack them, and we did this as a thing where it's like Mikasa and Tsukasa. It like works on everything, like if we're doing a Hanna-Barbera thing, and it's like a homage too. However, when you look at it on paper, you're like, that's just racist.
At least you recognized it.
Well, like, and I did it originally to be, a statement. But then there's a problem when you make a statement and then you're just like, no, that's not a statement. That's just racist. Like,
Yeah.
The statement is, I apparently live in Southeast Kansas. But anyways, so yeah, I've got to rewrite that final scene. But with that, I played on indie creators' vanities, where I was like, hey, there's this tier where you can put your character in the final fight. And those sold out almost instantly twice. That's how I went as far as I was. That's why I kept putting those in, where I'm like, hey, Joe, can we do a few more characters? And he's like, if they're paying us. I'm like, all right.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And the thing is like, people, I've gotten so many messages about it from the indie creators, like, hey, to get my character in your book. And then I'm like, pay me $125. They're like, never mind. But then a few already did. You know? So like, and it was instant. Like,
that's great exposure.
Right.
Like, to be a part of kind of like a hero team is great exposure.
Especially, like I'm known in the ICC community, the Independent Comic Creators community. That's the biggest one on Facebook.
Yeah.
It's a fucking dictatorship, but I'm not going to say too much on it because they might find this and then I'll get booted from the group because they do that shit.
Wow.
I hate it. I really hope they're like, oh, I'm going to listen to Sam say, I'm going to post it on there. So if they want to listen, but no, it's a bunch of thin-skinned. Our artists are thin-skinned.
Yeah.
We just
yeah,
are.
yeah. We all want our art to be beautiful, and we all want our mom to say it's great. We don't want some random dude on the internet to say he thinks it's shit.
Well, I actually get off on that. Like,
you really want some random dude on the internet to say it's shit?
Oh man, so McGillicuddy, I had a bunch of reviews on it. Let's see if I can find this review, and I'll send it to you if I can find it. Somebody was like, this guy is sexist. Like, they wrote this whole thing on how McGillicuddy is, like, putting the pregnant woman, like, I thought she was a strong female character. I thought Linda, the wife, was, like, a strong character who just happened to be a stay-at-home mom, kind of thing. No, she was a nurse. She was a school nurse. And, like, I got so much shit for that from this one person calling me sexist, and that, like, I, was a barefoot and pregnant woman in the kitchen. And the thing is there was a barefoot pregnant woman in the kitchen. I can't say. But then I'm just like, are you saying that a barefoot pregnant woman isn't strong?
So you do like it in like a weird way.
Well, in that one especially, that's like my crown jewel. Like, this thing is shit. This is sexist. And I'm like, I was writing a story about an everyman. Like,
yeah.
So
I guess my last kind of question then is just like, what do you, besides like, obviously you're publishing them yourself, you're marketing it all yourself, like, how do you get it out there, and like, where do you go from here? Like, how does it become a bigger thing? How do you get a following, and or how do you start like trying out for DC or Dark Horse, or like,
I don't know. At this point, I feel like I need to do a big crime that everybody's like,
because like with films, there's film festivals.
Yeah. Well, with comics, there's conventions.
Okay.
So, but again, those are a double-edged
But you've been
sword.
doing that.
Yeah.
And it's, yeah.
So I guess I feel like I need to start stretching out in other things. That's why I was considering the film. Like, if I do enough things, then it will cross-pollinate, and people will be like, oh, he also does comics. He also does this. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I do the podcast and the stand-up comedy, and I make my movies, and it's all just...
Right. And like, me and Chuck, we've made music and things like that. But with our last album especially, we didn't really want to spread that around because we like having professional jobs.
That makes sense. I mean, get that.
I've been arguing with Chuck to censor the actual Fisherman's Wife painting, but he said, don't censor my art.
Did he draw that?
No, that is the actual, like, the Fisherman's Wife is the first, like, hinte. It's the first, it was, like, done in the 17th.
It was a woodblock painting from, like, the 14th century, if I remember right.
Of a woman getting just railed by an octopus.
Yes. A father and son duo of octopi.
Oh my god.
And that is the origin of hinte. And we just thought it would be cool, like, if we ever did shows where we would go out and be like, we're the Fisherman's Wife, look us up. And they'd look us up, and we'd obviously be smaller than the first hinte. So people would be like, oh, what is this?
You guys are strange.
And also, like, he put, for our album name, he put, like, the actual Japanese name, like, Yoko, whatever that is. And in parentheses, it's like, or How I Met Your Mother. Oh, man. But no, that's my plan, is if I can ever stop working.
Yeah.
And just start doing more art and things like that. Facebook's dead as far as promotion goes. If we're doing a recap, Facebook's dead, art is dead. No one should be creative. Creative souls, no one's listening to this anyways because, nobody cares about you.
Oh, Jesus.
Nobody asked to be born.
This may be the darkest episode yet.
I mean, but keep doing it and follow your dreams. Because maybe.
And maybe's better than not, right?
Right. It says every lottery player ever.
Well, yeah, we're just playing a lottery with our art instead of...
And hoping people actually like us. No, we're playing... It is not about people liking your art. Ultimately, at this level, it's about people liking you, and I'm fucked. You're all right.
But so it's doing more art and just hoping eventually.
Yeah, like doing things like this, like and getting more reviews. Like, hey, if you want to step into another field, if you want to review my books and post it on a blog.
Don't have a blog yet, but I'd have to start that.
It's all about me,
so
Patrick.
work.
For me.
What if Chuck does that?
Chuck doesn't know how to type.
Chuck made your video.
No one taught him how to read and write yet.
They just taught him how to edit video.
We just whip him. We're just like whipping him with AV cables. Just
make the movie. Oh god.
Another thing that I do is cross-pollination. Like, all my Kickstarters, I always have a song from a local band, or a band that I, know. Like Philip Buck, he did the music for the last one, with, Tight Hats, Fresh Beats. Yeah, Tight Hats, Fresh Beats is the name of his band, or Fresh Hats, Tight Beats. Yeah. I love this band. Don't even know the name. But no, like, he does comic books and music as well. And, like, I was able to work with him. And I'm working with another creator who does, like, it totally panders to me. It's called Blister. It's about, like, punk kids in the 90s. And it's, like, all cartoony. And I absolutely love it. And, like, he's doing a Kickstarter right now where, like, if you back his for $10 and mine for $10, you get digital copies of both of our old books.
Oh, that's cool.
So, like, I'm trying to do cross-pollination that way, and, like, doing this podcast, and just things like that, and talking to people, and also being that douchebag in the office, like, where you just, like, I make comic books. Oh, that's so cool. Where can I find you? Oh, I'm going to give me your phone. Like, you almost have to be a bully a little bit.
I get made fun of by a lot of my friends because wherever I'm at, no matter what I'm doing, I'll work my filmmaking into the conversation. I'm like, I make movies. And whenever someone's like, oh, really? I go, yeah. And here's my card.
Right.
I'm like, I always have a business card to hand them.
And it doesn't matter, like, especially with movies, because you could always use extras and things like that. Like, it doesn't matter who they are. They might know someone that is important. And, like, it's all about the people you know and the people you know. Like, the only reason ROR recorded in the same studio that Paris Hilton did, still a crowning achievement, was because it was a buddy's cousin who was trying to get a job there. Like, it's all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's that dumb stuff. Like, yeah, like, if you ever need, like, an extra person to write, I'll do it, and then also you'll give me a deadline, so that'll be nice. And I'm like, can't let Patrick down. But, like, I will jump at collaborations, but a lot of people don't collaborate with writers, again, because they think they can write.
Yep.
So that's just an issue. Like, I see people on my ICC page, like, freelance writer, here are my rates. I'm like, buddy,
nobody's gonna,
you sweet summer child. Like,
you need to be going, freelance writer, here's what I'll pay you to draw some stuff.
Oh yeah. And it's shitty because all the creators are writers, and, like, the artists have the market on that, and that's just kind of shitty in that. But
that's how it's gonna be, though, and unfortunately,
right, because writers have nothing to offer, really.
Yeah,
because anybody can write a sentence.
The only thing, you'd have to. The only way you could do it is if you could pay an exposure, but to do that, you'd already have to.
Right.
You'd have to have,
like, if I was
thousands of followers.
If I was Kevin Smith and I was like, hey, you'll get exposure, but also if I'm Kevin Smith, I have a paycheck to give you.
Exactly.
So that's the thing. Like,
the writer with enough exposure to give you also has enough money to give you.
Right. Yeah. No, that's 100% true.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really depressing. So, art is dead.
Art is dead.
Facebook is dead. But yeah. But no, I had a lot of fun doing this. If I ever do anything else, I'd love to come back because I'm forcing myself in.
No, yeah, I like it.
I'll just break into you. If you ever do, like, a group.
You now know where my house is, so you're just going to break into my house often.
Yeah, you know where my house is, so you can break into my house.
Cool, wonderful.
Yeah, sounds good. We'll break into
each other's houses.
Yeah.
We won't, like, hang out. We won't never hang out. But we'll definitely...
I'll steal that second copy of Harry Potter so no one can make fun of you for it. Be like, I'm helping him.
Apparently I've got to hide it behind other books because, like...
Because it just looks like you're trying to buff out your book collection. Like, I totally read a lot of books. I mean, number one, I would put, like, Nietzsche and stuff up there, like our bookcase. Your bookcase is potato chip trash. I'm going to end this podcast. I'm ending it with one final statement. Which could have been a whole topic, but as far as we were talking about movies and stuff, where, like, we were talking, everybody has the same movie and they're all kind of but so one of my professors told me, and I've always used this analogy after, is that Harry Potter and Hunger Games and stuff like that, those are potato chips. They have
Yeah.
no substance. They're fun. They're great.
Yeah, they're
but
fun. You
they
go
make you
through 'em.
fat and
Yep.
they're awful. But like the real books, like, Hemingway and stuff like that, like stuff that has substance and things of that nature, like those are baked potatoes. Like that's what you want to write. That's actually what you want to write is potato chips because those make money.
Because they make money. They sell. Yeah.
Right.
You can't sell a potato.
Yeah.
Sorry, man.
I mean, I assume, I don't know the numbers, but I assume more potato chips sell than baked potatoes.
Definitely.
So-
I'm certain of it.
So yeah, that's what I'm gonna finish on that thought is stop writing shit, stop reading shit.
Only write trash that the idiot would enjoy.
Right. And
Yeah.
and then like when you write your movies, do you write them for you or do you write them for your audience? Because I totally pander to an audience.
I started writing them for me. I now write more with an audience in mind. But it's
This one's for you,
still-
Mom.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I probably write them too much for me still, honestly.
Yeah, and I started that way, obviously, with Hero Complex Kid. Like,
Yeah.
that one was 100% for me. And then, like, McGillicuddy was for a class, Cop number 2 was for a class. But then, like, everything after those, I'm like, oh, this is going to be a cool thing.
This is a thing I'll like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the HIV thing, I think is very important. And I feel like that comic would do very well, or it might not do well at all because people like their stigmas.
No, that's a baked potato, and you need to make a potato chip, Sam.
That's fair. So more Super Bubblegum Moon Detectives.
Exactly, like you said, everyone buys that title because it's a potato chip title.
Yeah, I say it, and anybody that remotely likes manga, they're like, I'm on board.
Yep.
They're like, I know what this is.
So that's what you're making next.
Yeah. And then I'm like, the character was trans the whole time.
Does that
So that's
have
gonna
just making a manga? In my limited experience, they're a larger book. Is that going to be more expensive to make, or would you just how does that work?
I do a lot of anime conventions. That's where I meet a lot of my artists too, because artist alleys and
Yeah.
also Facebook and stuff. Actually, a lot of my prints and stuff come from artists that I met at anime conventions.
Got it.
But
So you got a guy in mind.
yeah. Well,
Cool.
there's no guys that draw anime. Silly Patrick.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
But no, there's a girl I've been working with for a lot of years actually. She saw my Say a Man cosplay and like that's the thing. You can network with anybody without like there's a picture of me and her like both in our cosplays. And then I like added her on Facebook. And then years later, she's like doing art stuff. And lots of the people that have taken pictures with me that I just added to get my pictures because I need to get
Yeah.
my pictures. They're artists as well because a lot of them made their own cosplays and things
Yeah.
like that. So like I've networked out to those people. I have about 6 artists that I met that way, them taking my picture, me adding them on Facebook, and then finding out they were artists later.
Oh, dope. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And that's another thing is I do cosplay and then people will talk to you
Because you're cosplaying.
You're right. And then I can
And then you have to
slip that
work
in.
your. I'm a comic book writer.
Yeah, like
Here's my card.
Not only am I wearing fruit cups on my head.
I also think what's inside my head is good enough for you to read.
Yeah, well, and then also I do a lot of, humor sells it and also self-deprecation.
Yeah.
Because, part of it you're just like, oh, it's a joke. And then part of it you're like wanting them to go like, oh, I'm sorry.
I feel bad for
I
this
should-
guy. I should buy his comic.
He talks a lot of shit on himself.
He's probably sold 0 comics this weekend.
He's gonna off himself. Or that's the alternative, like hold a gun to my head and be like, hey guys, could you
So that like 2 days
Buy
from
this?
now, when you're closer to the end of the campaign, it's gonna be a video of you just like, I'm gonna fucking end it.
No, it's gonna be me with my cat just on screen. Like internet
Jesus.
loves cats, right?
No, because they're not gonna give you money.
They're gonna give me money to save the cat. They better.
Oh god, you don't want to become the villain.
I will do anything for my art, Patrick. I have worn a dress.
I saw that. Was that what was that? What happened with that?
So Chuck over here, Mr. Moneybags Breedlove. So I was like, hey, last Kickstarter I was at the $1,700 mark and I need to make 25 and like we were
Got it.
stagnant. And I was like, hey Chuck, could you put in like $200 or something? I think I might have been lower than 17. I think he took me up to 17. I think it was 11. I'm like, could you put $200 in because people back things that, and I'm like, you can
People
pull
back things that are successful.
Yeah,
That's just true.
and you can pull the money out later, or whatever. And then I was like, maybe could you put a little more, get me a little closer to goal? Because when we're close to goal, then he could like periodically pull some money out. And then I'd be like, oh, we're this close to goal. And then be kind of douchey that way. But then he made a deal that the $750 that he put in would stay in if I wore a dress for to trivia every week after. Granted, I didn't pay up. I did 2 weeks. I need to find another way, but
you need to wear more dresses, is what you're saying.
I live with him now, so I could just wear them in the house. I guess. Be like, I'm putting in my time, Chuck. But so yeah, that's where those pictures came from.
So what you're saying right now on the podcast is that if someone wants to give you a bunch of money,
I will do whatever.
You'll wear a dress.
I'll wear a dress. I'll send me a personal message. I will get this comic book made.
Oh, Jesus.
Meaning I'll paint your house.
Yeah. Just figure out the task you want Sam to do. Email it to Sam in a price, and we'll see if we can get it done for you.
On Kickstarters, you literally can pledge for no reward, and I can give you special rewards. Like, there's one guy actually that was like, hey, can I get multiple copies of each book? And I'm like, pledge at this level and donate $30 more. And he was like, great, I'll do that. And ta-da.
Nice.
So you're not supposed to do that, but you can.
Yeah.
And it was a guy who reached out directly to me. So yeah.
So like I said, reach out to Sam if you want something done.
I'm gonna end up on the news, and which will sell comics, but someone's gonna ask me to kill their cheating husband, and then they'll be like, here's $3,000. Like, oh.
Sam would probably say yes.
I'll be like, yeah. But all right, so wrapping up my Kickstarter, Cop number 2, volume 2. It's on the whole Kickstarter. There'll probably be links.
There will be a link. There'll be a link. You've got links to your
Indie
comics.
Planet. And also Patrick, I think, is smart enough to find those.
I will. I'll figure it out.
However, I can send those. Also on smackjeeves.com, there is the Committee of Heroes, which there will also be a link to that as well. So there's plenty of my stuff. You can read plenty of my stuff. At the end of McGillicuddy 2, there was actually a little short comic that I did called What Makes a Good Man, that I did that for a art friend's class a long time ago, but then she didn't use my script. So then I gave it to a South Korean dude who was like, I just want to draw stuff. And I'm like, here you go. And he did it for free.
He drew stuff.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah. I'm Sam Bruch, Egocentric Comics.
Cool. Well, thanks for coming on, man.
No problem, man. I had a lot of fun.
All right, there you go. He kind of did the outro himself at the end there. But really, dude, check out his comics. They are a fun read. I guarantee it. And please check out his Kickstarter and help him reach his goal. It's all or nothing with Kickstarter, and as a writer of comic books, Sam's entire art form is kind of reliant on being able to have a artist, an illustrator, to create his vision, to make his art a reality. So please help make art, support indie comics. The links are in the descriptions. And as always, subscribe to this podcast and like IX Productions on Facebook to stay up to date on what myself and Lola Loren are working on. Right now, we're gearing up for the Kansas City Film Fest this week. It's going to be pretty awesome. We're showing 2 films, actually. A short film called A Dangerous Proposal. It'll be in the comedy shorts block. And our children's feature film, which is a comedy thriller called Zoink. We'll be showing on Saturday at 4:25, so please come check that out. And be sure to listen to our next episode. Our guest is coming all the way from out of town. He's having the world premiere of his film, In This Gray Place, this week at the Kansas City Film Fest. Listen in next time for me and Rudy Womack. Really hope I said his name right. Rudy Womack. That sounds right. Let's hope it's right. I'll ask him when I meet him.